Roger, it's pretty obvious walking around your house that art means a lot to you. Can you tell me how you first got started doing art and what does it mean to you when you finish a painting?
Um, Finishing a painting to me is like finishing a book. You kind of let down at the end. You feel good about it, and you're anxious to tell your friends that you had this plan, but you know it's a dark lie. I mean a dark lie. But it's always meant a way of looking at things differently. That most people look at a piece of art as a finished example. To me, it's a reminder of some experience I've had, some place I've been, some conversation I've engaged in, and I've always enjoyed, especially conversations, and when they get funny and they're almost invincible. They last much longer than you will. But I never thought of it. In fact, this is brand new. I never thought of art as a finished object. It's just something I just wanted to do and see how well I could do it. I'm looking at a picture of myself kissing my youngest daughter, and I remember the goosebumps and the feelings that she always gave me, and of course Amy and Julie always gave me, but it was always something special. It wasn't just, here's a kiss, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
There was sincerity behind it.
So the art is more than just a pretty picture. It's also a connection with something in your mind that you care about. Otherwise, you wouldn't paint it unless you had some care for what the subject was.
Exactly. If you captured something that it may have very little meaning to other people, but to me, it took that moment and gave it back to me. And I can't tell you how many times I would look at a photo album, I remember a picture of Grandpa, Mom's dad, and they were kind of teared up with all the cousins, and it wasn't as if you were tearing them and they were leaving. This was the moment in time when I would never see Grandma. I think of this one sadly, but I would never see Grandpa again. That's the only thing I have of my my grandpa, Mom's dad. And I have no idea, not a single clue what he was like. Yet, he was very much a part of my growing up. That's a big wow. Ooh.
So the book is like, it really is a snapshot, and that is it's capturing a moment in time and since you don't know that much about him, you can look at this picture and see things in him that
I can see the poverty. I remember thinking that an awful lot, that Grandpa was poor. And I remember that very meaningful discussion that you and I had about how far Dad had taken us, not necessarily in wealth, but in intellect and education, and he left us with this ribbon box that took us through life. And we were never poor, we were never rich, although all our kids think we're rich, which I think is great if they could just produce it. Stop BSing about it. Yeah, but it was more, even more than that. It was just through all the bonds and the strife and the different things that happened to us in life. Um, we survived and we did well. We were certainly an example of the American cultural expansion, the Jewish cultural expansion into this country, and how rich it made us in ways that the kids would never think of.
You know, it strikes me that the transition between our grandparents and our parents, in some ways, was a lot stronger in the sense of the type of life they led than it is between our parents and us, and between us and our children. And it's our parents that really became Americans and passed their successes on in education and just how they fitted into society, which is pretty amazing.
It is. It is. I look up here, and I see Colin and that generation, and you have to kick yourself and say, geez, we've witnessed so much.
Yeah.
So much. And there's one picture at the very bottom with our grandpa and his brothers at an age that was almost the end of the age.
Yes.
Turn of the century. And how lucky we were to have survived it.
Yeah.
There's a picture, and I always tell everybody, because I know they're prettier pictures, but I always tell everybody how pretty mom was. And
sure. You don't like to say this about your mom, but she was a hottie.
Mommy was a hottie. And Dad was, a very, how would you put that in a...
He was safe and secure.
Right.
It's wonderful how you are able to relate art to things that are meaningful in your life. It's not just painting pretty pictures, but each piece of work that you've done, when you've done many, evokes some feeling in you and in the observer that it can be communicated really in no other way. But one of the other great strengths that you have, Roger, is you have more good friends than just about anyone I know. And so what is it in your life that makes you able and want to build up so many friendships with so many really interesting people from all over?
Well, thank you for the compliment. First, I have to start with you. You were my mentor. Mom always was reminding me of, how many friends she had, which I thought was funny because I could see her picking at people. I always thought that was fun, but she was a genuine friend too. She really liked her friends. But the friends I had, you were a great role model. Dad was kind of shy, but it was also a way for me to be outstanding or something in my own way. And I loved walking in a schoolyard or walking somewhere and seeing all my old friends and all my, guys I played basketball with, guys I was in the history club, or when I was in the junior high school, how hard it was initially to make good friends. And then we moved to New Jersey, kind of followed you. It's an interesting thing that I don't think either one of us ever thought we were going to live apart, but you almost did. And I remember how upsetting that was. I said, no, that won't happen. And
we followed careers, but we never lost touch at all. We always made it and very important to make sure that we saw each other as often as we could, even though we lived long distances apart.
Did we live? Was it long distances?
Well, California and Florida, or we were up in Canada and in Israel for a year, so that was pretty far.
And Israel was traumatic for me.
Yeah, because it
And
was a
my
tough
friend-
time. It was a tough time at home.
Yeah, it was a tough time at home. Dad was going through a little bit of hell, opening his office and trying to figure out what he was going to be the rest of his life. And he got no sympathy from Mom, I didn't think, anyway, which I thought was terribly sad. It was all right for her to be close to Brooklyn and Manhattan, but she never thought of what it was like for Dad, who had no brothers or sisters, and could he be this way? Could he survive and be happy?
Yeah.
I never saw Dad's happiness as part of the lists of the things the family wanted. I always felt Dad put us number one. I always thought that if we had happiness, it was because Dad was there, and he made sure he did. I'm pretty comfortable with this. He made sure that we were comfortable.
Yeah.
And
He put us first.
yes, he did. There's no ifs, no buts. I think I told you the story when Dad was going back to get into practice, to do his practice beyond the medical, the dental work, and the question for me was, what did I want to be the rest of my life? I knew I had a lot of personality and could get by things, but would I fail myself? It's the best way to do it. And not achieve some of the things I wanted to achieve. I really did want, in all honesty, to be a good politician and do good things. I had been through Kennedy. I had been through some of the people who I stayed with the rest of my life. Ken Spalter, all my oldest friends. I had a lot of loyal, good friends. And loyalty not in the bad way, not blind loyalty. Loyalty in the sense that we trusted each other, we had fun together. If anybody got out of line, the group would jump on them. And it was just it was like a fact of life. Don't fool around with me. Don't fool around with us. If you're a friend, and you're loyal, and you stick together.
It's true.
It is.
And the friendships that you made
lasted a lifetime.
endured, and you've made new friends where you are now. Your whole neighborhood and the environs and the various organizations that you belong to have all built up friends. Tell me a little bit about some of the really things that most people don't know about you, and some of the causes that you pursued. I thought it was so interesting. You spent a certain amount of time in the past, year or so, going to prisons.
Yeah.
What's that all about, Roger?
Well, as a mild understatement, I always felt there were people who were going to spend their lives in jail and endure all types of indignities and cruelties. And they never had a chance. They were good people, or they were abused people, a lot of abuse. And I could never escape that. My friends could.